top-ranked player in the online game One Sword loses interest in gaming when it shuts down. However, he discovers a similar game, Sword Rush, in his school's esports club. With new teammates, he aims to reach the top again. The number one in the world. How many people can claim to have such a glorious title for our main character? It was something that he had been accustomed to since his first year of middle school. He ranked number one in the entire world for a whole year. With every tap and click, he became a gamer who reigned supreme. He's just like me. For real. But today is a special day as he receives a package addressed to him, Jiho Seong. He thanks the courier and takes the box. This box is the symbol of what he once was. His mood takes a dive since today they're pulling the plug on the game that he loves so much. He opens the box carefully. Inside are a gaming keyboard and a specialized note. It is written by the CEO of the game One Sword, thanking and praising him for being the best of the best. This was the game that he used to play religiously. It was an online player versus player game where you fought with swords. The test of a true gamer, One Sword. Unfortunately, the game was too difficult, and as a result, the player base dropped to merely 302 people. With that number, it shouldn't come as a surprise. But the thing is, it was the only game that could run on Jiho's old computer. I know the feels, brother. A few years later, we're now hearing a live stream of something called Sword Rush. Subscribers and everyone watching at home tuned in and plugged in. PC cafes were filled with watchers and players. The clacks and clicks of the mouse filled the room. This is the moment that everyone's waiting for. The announcers are hinting at the possibility of Korea taking home the World Cup in this thrilling game once again. Coming in at jersey 23 is Kobe, at 11 is Luck, and wearing the glorious number 14 is the Korean national team's captain, Lee Jin-ae. And with that, the match begins. A barren land and a blue sky, the graphics are insane. A character wearing vivid colors comes into frame, and the physics of the dashes in-game are something to behold. We see a team of 4, a werewolf, a cyborg ninja, a spellcaster, and a female assassin. The assassin leads the squad with a wide swipe of her blue blade. It is skillfully dodged by a masked figure dual-wielding a blade. The mask immediately engages with a counterattack of his own. The red and blue blades clash and spark multiple times in just a second. Meanwhile, a familiar shadow lurks and slithers beneath the ground. It is the werewolf coming to back up the assassin with a hidden pounce. But something else catches her attention, something fiery and sharp is coming in her direction. With a loud crash, a blazing force lands. The spark and heat from this newcomer are outstanding. Without wasting time, this fiery redhead locks onto her target. With her hand on her sword's hilt, a strong attack is incoming. Blue and red blades glow in front of one another. Both of them move at speeds that are hard to see with a naked eye. From the ground to mid-air, their speed is outstanding. The clash finally happens, and they're evenly matched. This clash is being watched live by the people who support the game. As the viewership of this championship skyrocketed, so does the people's interest in gaming. However, our boy Jiho hasn't played any games for the last 2 years. Maybe it's because he just couldn't forget the sensation of being ranked first on One Sword. He doesn't necessarily hate other games, but they just don't excite him as much. It just doesn't hit the same. And besides, his potato computer can't handle other games anyway. But even with all of that in mind, something still caught his eye. Students are clamoring and gathering around a particular club poster. It is for a recruitment for an esports club playing Sword Rush. This flashy poster totally caught his attention. He was so engrossed that he crashed his bike into a fellow student. He vowed to focus on studying from now on, but when the grades come in, he feels his stomach sink. He just crumples the paper in disappointment. The student beside him gives him lip on top of that. This friend of his tells him that their time has come. The gaming cafe calls out to them. He nags the guy to study more instead as if he was his mother. He continues to nag him for his pathetic grades, but despite loving heavy textbooks and studying, Jiho is still failing. This leads to a friendly but brutal scuffle. That's when an aggressive voice calls out to them, scaring him stiff. It is one of their classmates, but one with scary eyes. This man is just trying to get some sleep. They know this guy is the class bully, so Jiho's friend is quick to humbly apologize for both of their sakes. So, they quickly get out of the classroom. Without even getting ready, Jiho is already being targeted by the forbidden grab. And eventually, we land on the gaming cafe. The taps, swipes, and clicks fill the whole establishment. Jiho is forced to take on the gaming headset against his will. He's struggling with the game as his friend bugs him to heal properly, clueless to what's happening. Jiho's friend continues to trash talk him from his side. Seeing this demonic side, he swears not to get into a car if this guy is driving. The mark of true gamer right there. He finally has enough, abandoning the game with the excuse of taking a pee break. He's so bad that Jiho's friend reckons that a gorilla would be a better player, but a sus-looking man is seated beside him. He just awkwardly goes back to the game. Turning off the faucet, Jiho laments that he really sucks at gaming now. He used to be a gaming god too, but playing a first-person shooter just wasn't for him. His aim is horrible, and he dies every time. He doesn't even know why he agreed to come here. As he sadly walks back to his seat, he hears someone going hard on the keyboard. The sound of those taps seems awfully familiar to him. Looking from the side, it is a girl wearing the same uniform as him. The taps continue to echo in his ears. It is mesmerizing to hear. On the screen, he sees a cyborg-looking ninja character. It is going up against someone wielding dual scarlet blades. The dual blades crackle and spark with critical power, while the cyborg braces itself with a swipe. The two clash onto one another in a colorful and thrilling fashion. Jiho is completely hooked, but it is because of those actions per minute that he's witnessing. The speed of those inputs is just simply incredible. Without even paying attention to his playing, the only question in his mind is what in the world is that game? The young woman playing the game is calm and collected as she orders her team around a counter. The door of the gaming cafe opens, and the owner promptly greets the customer. But it is someone called Chan Yun. Wearing the same day in high school uniform, he asks if Ari is here. It seems like it's Ari's mother is looking for her. He makes his way to the young woman's seat. He casually leans on the divider and calls out to her. He is quickly dismissed aggressively, as if he heard nothing. He just reminds her that they have cram school coming up. But she's already told him that she's not gaming just for fun, as he insists that her mother is making him take her. Her mother is worried that she's playing too many games, but she doesn't care. Chan Yun is starting to get tilted, but looking at this young woman's eyes and drive, he reluctantly says that they must go for the last time. With that, she curses as she quits the game. Meanwhile, Jiho and his friend are on the way home. Since this friend of his plays a lot of other games, he asks if he knows this super flashy first-person game. It's got swords instead of guns. You can double jump and roll. It looked a bit sci-fi too. With this description, his friend finally zeroes in on Sword Rush. It's a game that came out like a year or two ago. He remembers that it's got a steep learning curve. The gameplay also speaks for itself. It's evidently freaking hard. The mag has fallen, and Jiho is back home. The first thing he does is check out this game properly. He watches the finals of a series of Korean versus USA. His attention is fully engaged as he eats his chocolate in hand. That's when something snaps into his mind. This rapid and relentless gameplay is familiar. In the series, Korea continues to make amazing plays. They perform a massive comeback that turns the tables around. Such explosive plays are only possible on Sword Rush. But watching this brings back memories of his younger self. The satisfaction of timing a perfect counter, the toughness of going 2 versus 1, the showdown of getting ultimates off, and the final swing, the final attack that cements who the victor is. In this broadcast, Jiho sees everything in its simplest and distilled form behind the flashy graphics. He watches as this year's League World goes to none other than South Korea. This game is undoubtedly identical to his beloved One Sword. Jiho has slain countless foes with his champion, Spiro. He did everything he could to hold onto his yellow cape, a cape that only the world rank 1 could wear. He had seen this loading screen thousands of times, maybe even tens of thousands, but that was before One Sword decided to shut down their servers. When he saw the end of service notification, he couldn't help but smash his keyboard in anger. Even though it was just an indie game, they had poured their love into making it. Right now, he's searching for connections between Sword Rush and his beloved One Sword. He found an article about the acquisition of his game by a US company. This game is news to him. He sat back in his chair, trying to make sense of what this means. One thing's for certain, though, One Sword is back. The next day, he rode his trusty bike to school again. He stopped by the announcement board and read the poster. He confirmed that this weird and flashy poster was for Sword Rush. If this game is just One Sword but with better graphics, then he can seriously consider getting back into gaming. Maybe he can finally relive the thrill of competition at the highest level. As he was lost in thought, someone called to him from behind. It was a young lady with an imposing posture. She asked him if he was going to join the club. Caught up in the moment, he immediately answered yes. That's when he caught himself saying something ridiculous. He stumbled in his words as he asked if the young lady was also part of the esports club. She confirmed and asked him what tier he is in. With blind enthusiasm and optimism, he answered that he had no idea. She found this answer absurd. She informed him that he can't join if that's the case, as the entry requirement has been changed. The tryouts would now be a 1 versus 1 with the club captain. With annoyance in her voice, she told him to at least play the game before applying. Looking at this poster stirred some deep and complex emotions within Jiho. Right after school, Jiho's friend is peacefully sleeping at his desk. In true best friend fashion, of course, he would drive the chair he's sitting at. A solid slam on the ground is sure to wake anybody up. Jiho excitedly urged his friend, Jin Young, to hurry and get up. For the first time ever, he's the one inviting his friend to go to the gaming cafe. That's when the class bully, Eugene, interrupted them once again, telling them to get out of his way. Back to their conversation, Jin Young can't believe what he's hearing. A genuine smile crept up on Jiho's face. Much to Jin Young's confusion, he wants to hit the gaming cafe and start gaming again. He watched Sword Rush gameplay reels all night just for today. In the past, he struggled to find his game, but not anymore. He wants to reach World Rank 1 in Sword Rush, and to do that, he's going to need Jin Young's help. But this friend of his was quick to extinguish his enthusiasm to get Rank 1. But either way, they're going down to business. The door of the gaming cafe creaked open. The owner greeted Eri. This young lady is Eri Hun, the potential captain of the esports club. Her arrival is perfect timing to work the counter, even though she needs to practice today. The owner was quick to grab and place her to work the counter. He reminded her that this is the least she could do for playing here for free. She doesn't even have much time to play, let alone man the counter. Meanwhile, a swing of a sword is brightly displayed on the monitor. The target of the swing was skillful with a dodge, but this hooded figure was cornered at the edge of a cliff. The edge is also slowly crumbling and the howling winds pass by. The demon wielding a sword took a leap to finish the job. This exchange on the screen is Jin Young teaching Jiho the simple rules of the game. Like other games, if you kill the opposing team, you win. But Jiho hasn't tried any other games in the past few years. Jin Young distilled it to a basic 4-4 game where you work as a team to win. The maps are also on the small side, and the character movements are quite fast. It's a constant brawl from start to finish. The red demon finally landed a blow that almost caved in the hooded character's block. A resounding boom destroyed the edge of the cliff. Every weapon in the game also has a durability gauge. Sword Rush is a close quarter melee game, so presence of mind is important. You can play as a tank, DPS, or healer. There's also a fourth role called support, a specialized role weak in 1v1. Hearing all this explanation thoroughly bored Jiho. All he cares about is when they will start playing. So, Jin Young made a lobby and he picked whatever. With a sinister smile, his friend of his acting weird as usual. Jin Young is about to give him the skills of a god-tier, fugly silver player. The depth of silver is a true test of sanity, and this man is a casualty. The two started the match with an even clash, but Jiho was already driven to the edge of the cliff. His friend is expecting snacks after this one-sided slaughter. When asked if the controls are difficult, he fiddled around and found that it's not that tough for him. He took a powerful stance as this control is nothing compared to the game he used to play. This caused his friend's rage to boil. Jin Young is going all in to make him quit being such a cocky noob. Meanwhile, he's just observing how the size of the hero affects its speed, as well as attack range, skill combos, and upgrades. But most importantly, a special gauge started to light up on his monitor. Using this special icon, his sword started to glow brightly. The blue and red blades came closer than ever before collision. In his eyes, this is no different than the pixel-perfect one sword. Timing is key to everything. That is some godlike gaze right there. With a loud boom, he decimated Jin Young's sword in one fell swoop. As the red demon tried to recover from the recoil, he had already maneuvered around the cliff, skidding behind the enemy. With every swipe of the mouse, he continues to feel it. His hero and the movements of his hands are perfectly in sync. His APM exploded to the limits. With a reverberating boom, he threw his sword with breakneck speeds. Even Jin Young could not believe his eyes. This skill and craftiness were the real deal. His character was eventually skewered by the sword throw. The red demon was obliterated into nothing along with the cliff edge itself. The two stared at their monitors displaying the results of the match. Jin Young's mouth was wide open for the last seconds of the fight. Even Eri couldn't help but notice the fuss that Jin Young is kicking up. He refused to believe that Jiho is a beginner after this 1v1. He covered his face, and his friend took this as him laughing for beating a silver player. But it seems like instead of laughing, he was actually crying. He remembered the tens of thousands of times that he played the game he loves to the point of grinding down his mouse and keyboard keys. It was his entire life, and now it's been remade. The countless hours he spent making notes, strategizing his moves. The sheer joy that he found in the face of a complex game. Everything has come back to him. He couldn't help but shed genuine tears of joy and excitement now that he can play one sword again. Wait, this is hitting me right in the feels. Jin Young can't even fathom what this guy is being so dramatic about. Jiho's mind is already made. He's set on joining the esports club. He proudly announced that when he applies, he'll completely destroy the captain. Unbeknownst to him, this was heard by Eri, the captain herself. She's about to go Michael Jordan mode and take this personally. The night had fallen, and Changyun and Eri were walking home together, but it seemed like something was on her mind. She personally made the poster of the esports club, and he was worried that it would attract all kinds of idiots running at the chance to play games at school. Besides, making it official should be impossible, but she already took care of that. She wasn't interested in gathering game junkies, she just needed a team. She needed kids who would take her goals seriously. Her goal was to make it as a pro gamer. The next day, we see Changyun Lee, 17, Eri's childhood friend. Frustrated that Eri doesn't even know that most Sword Rush pros used to play one sword. And that's what bothers him. There's no reason not to go pro in Sword Rush if you have a clear advantage with one sword experience. If she really wants a team, she needs someone special. A high-ranking gamer that used to play one sword. That's her best chance of becoming a pro. He's been thinking about this a lot. Since one sword came out around their time, there should be someone close to them who played it. Right after the scene at the gaming cafe yesterday, where Jiho finally regains his passion and accidentally provoked the team captain, both he and Jin Young went home cluelessly. Eri is left in the cafe, gaming alone with a scowl on her face. Tonight, Changyun is not bugging her going anywhere else. Since she started taking in applications, there's no stopping it now. He's only stopping by since he's sick of cram school as well. She suspects that this is just another one of his tricks. He asked her if any of the applicants are rankers, but she smugly answered that finding rankers would be equivalent to finding national team players. She paused playing for a while, as there was one kid that pissed her off pretty bad. This kid was different because he was yapping about one sword or something. He was quick to pick up on this tiny bit of information. With seriousness in her eyes, they'll just have to see how the tryouts go. But Changyun still asked what the kid looked like as he browsed through a one-sword blog. Of course, she remembers. She must remember that face if she wants to crush him in the coming trials with her menacing main hero. Back in Jiho's house, he slowly opened a box. He thanked God that he didn't throw the contents of this box away. These are piles upon piles of his handwritten strategy notes. With that much notes, no wonder he was the GOAT. He recalled